We're live. Good morning, Wonder Fanatics. Happy Monday, February 10th. Monday after the big game. Hopefully your hangover isn't too, rough. I know the Chiefs will be for the next year. That's going to suck. Oh, it's Monday, Feb 10th. You already know that. Welcome to the Wonder Fan Show. I'm your host, Henry Markin. And God, it is, as far as most Super Bowl Mondays go, this is actually a pretty satisfying Monday. Before we get into why, let me just tell you, the Wonder Fan Show is sponsored by the Wonder Fan app, what I think is the greatest fan rewards app out there. Get cash rewards just by doing stuff you were already going to do. If you're a sports fan, it's time you start getting paid to do stuff you do every day. Get cash rewards just by scrolling on the Wonder Fan app, by going to games, by walking on your campus, by going to Wonder Zones, just by being a fan, or in many cases, by being a student. Wonder Fan is the best fan rewards app out there because it truly rewards you for stuff you'd be doing. And the gifts are amazing. You accumulate Wonder. If you don't know how to use Wonder Fan, you get Wonder, and then you redeem said Wonder for actual awesome, amazing, real cash vouchers. That's the word, real. This is not too good to be true. This is not too good to be true. Another great thing about Wonder Fan is you can gamble on Wonder Fan. You're not necessarily betting real money. You're only betting fictional Wonder we give you. We give you a lot of Wonder. Why not wager it? You have a lot of Wonder to use. If you want to save up for something awesome, go for it. If you want to gamble, make some more Wonder, that's your Wonder. Go for it. But at the end of the day, if you choose to wager your Wonder and you win, awesome. You can redeem it for actual cash rewards. If you lose, congratulations. Nothing bad happening to you. Nothing happened to you. You just lost fake money we gave you. You lost fictional currency. It is not real until you make it real when you redeem your Wonder for actual cash rewards. So you literally can't lose. Everybody wins on Wonder Fan, and we mean it. All right. I'm feeling a little peppy today. I got a pep in my step. I am so pleased with how yesterday's Super Bowl went. I mean, just could not have asked for more. I think personally, I got what I needed to see. I'm very pleased. Boring game, awful game, but that's fine because I didn't want to see some manufactured, doctored, scripted, massaged, entertaining game, right? I wanted to see what would happen if this Chiefs team played this Eagles team without any stripes, any sauce, no involvement, just play. And we got that, right? Because if the Chiefs just dominated the Eagles in this game and it was just like, okay, all right, we get it. They don't need anyone's help. They don't need to do anything. They're just that good, and we're all wrong, and the NFL gaslit us for nothing. That's, it's like whatever. Like that would have been the worst possible game would have been the scores were flipped, right? If the Chiefs were never down and if it was never close, and you just to watch this decimation of this Eagles team, that would have sucked, right? Because then the whole time you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, the refs helped the Chiefs up to this point, but now they don't need their help, right? Because that was my whole argument, is that the Chiefs, in theory, should be good enough that they don't need anybody's help. They're good enough to carry themselves, right? That was sort of why I've always been like, why are you helping the Chiefs? Not accusing anyone of doing anything, of course, but my whole argument was, like, of all the teams that you're going to help, why this team? They're very capable of putting on shows themselves. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. He's the greatest thing we've ever seen. That's why Collinsworth goes bananas every time he's on the TV, is because he's that guy. I never understood why, the league felt that they had to extend their stay sort of inauthentically, right? Like without any organic material. You just don't need to do that. They're that good. Well, we got probably the best possible boring game. I think that might have been the most satisfying boring game ever. Of all the boring Super Bowls we've ever had, and we've had a lot of them, by the way, I think Seattle, Denver is up there as one of the worst Super Bowls probably ever. That game was never close. And we had to sit through, weeks of the Legion of Boom and Richard Sherman telling you, why Crabtree's a sorry ass receiver and blah, blah, blah. Like that was really painful, right? That was pain before the Chiefs pain. That was like hating a team because they were good and they talked their shit and then they stood on business. And it sucked because they were right and they won, But there's been some boring games, like the Patriots-Rams game was pretty boring. I think there's a few others. I feel like wasn't the Saints-Colts game pretty boring? It was kind of close for like a second, but then it wasn't. For the most part, we get pretty good Super Bowls. Like however that may be, we usually have some sort of, rush or thrill. But when you don't get them, they're really boring. And it's like, okay, you waited all year for this, blah, blah, blah. This year was different. This year was exceptional. We, I think, as a country, needed to see this game, right? Because I think a lot of us would have traded an entertaining television product. Excuse me. I don't think a lot of people would have traded let's say that you could have given us something, a little more fun, right? I don't think people would have traded what we got for that, right? Because if you make it, a little more fun, add some fixings to it, there's always a chance that the Chiefs could win, and then this nightmare continues, right? I think what happened was phenomenal, personally. I do. I mean, I can't be alone when I say this. Just watching the Chiefs implode, fall apart completely on the biggest stage. Can't rely on anyone but themselves, right? So, if there's a late hit or if there's a questionable call, I can't look around. It's you guys. You get yourselves out of this. It was very satisfying, very fun to watch. That's kind of the question I want to pose. Without accusing anyone of fixing games, what would you want to see in any situation? A relatively honest Super Bowl. Boring football, like the one we had last night, but it's honest, right? So the game decides the game, right? So there is no, you kind of let go, right? You just kind of let it happen. And so there's always the risk of you getting something like that. Or would you prefer to get something a little more entertaining, but there's definitely possibility, unconfirmed, but evidence, at least speculated evidence of not completely fixed, but sprinkled tiny flakes of fixings, and you get a better product, right? So the guarantee is that you will get a better product. You can't guarantee that it is fixed with a little spice. You don't know that for sure, but there is confirmation that there are rumors, at least. You get that game, or you get what we had last night. Relatively honest, kind of like what you see in the mirror is what you get. It's not a gym mirror. There's no good lighting. There's no fluff. It's like your closet mirror, right? Where the lighting is horrible, and it looks exactly raw as you had intended to see it. What would you rather see? And on that note, someone is calling. Oh, it's a Pennsylvania area code. Could only mean one thing. Hello, this is the WUNDERFAN Show. Who might you be?
King of Birds.
King of Birds. The king himself. You're back.
Yeah.
Must have been fun last night.
Domination. Mahomes sent back to the gulag.
Sent back to the gulag. Bye, Patrick. We'll see you in the waiting room for at least a year.
Yeah, we're the next dynasty. I hope we're the next dynasty.
Is that right? The Eagles dynasty begins today.
So yesterday, but yeah, today too. The wide receivers could have showed up more, but I like us rubbing at the end, throwing the 40-yard bomb to Smith when we're up already by 28.
Yep.
And then they had a couple garbage time touchdowns. That game was really 40-14.
That game was over. It was over.
They just started giving up. Mahomes crying, Taylor Swift crying, everybody's crying in Kansas City. But yeah, we won, and hopefully there's more to come now, and hopefully we draft like probably maybe an offensive lineman or like try and pick up another D lineman, just stack the line. I'm hoping we get Myles Garrett though.
Yeah, that could be something. Let's talk about Taylor Swift and all the little accessories you mentioned. Was that fun for you to watch? Just watching the collateral of a Chiefs loss and everyone's crying. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had a family party. Everyone was blowing the whistle there.
That's awesome. So you were just soaking it all in. This was satisfying for I think a lot of people, not even Eagles fans, just Americans. You enjoyed this game, especially as an Eagles fan.
I got scared when you posted the video that everyone's sick. I'm like, oh, this could be bad. But then all came back healthy except Britton Covey. BG got out there, got some pressure. He was being held all night.
Yeah.
But I guess the referees pretty much, like, they eventually stopped making the bad calls because they knew we were going to win anyway.
Yeah, I guess at one point it's like, what's the point? Like, you could try to, you know, fix this as best you can, but the Chiefs just, they aren't good. They aren't good.
They're not good enough.
No, and the Eagles were so much better in every way. The Eagles were just a way better team. And honestly, that speaks volumes about the teams that the Eagles sort of dominated throughout the playoffs. Like, I think any team in the NFC, could have given the Chiefs a good game. I think the Chiefs showed up for just the Bills game because they had to.
They had to, but then they make it there and they give up and all that stuff.
So you think the Eagles dynasty, we are now living in it.
I hope so.
What does that mean for the next 3 years? I mean, you just lost Kellen Moore, who's now the Saints coach. So your offensive coordinator role is open. You have a great team.
He grabbed like whoever. I think, Barkley runs for 2,000 yards, and also Barkley and like our running backs were phenomenal. But then I think we hired our running back coach as our like offensive coordinator because he seems to be working well with our offensive structure.
Right.
And and I think Jalen Hurts next year, after he shows he can throw the ball, air that thing out,
Hey, let me ask you a question, King of Birds. Do you think that Sirianni was playing for his job yesterday? Like if he lost the Super Bowl?
Oh yeah.
Is he in hot water? Wow.
Definitely. On the hot seat. And I'm like, I was listening to the talk radio, like, Nick Sirianni is the best. Yeah, but like 7 weeks ago, we were talking about firing him. And he's on the hot seat, and now you guys want to, like, love him? So it's like, and then I saw Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts tries to keep up the tough guy act as he's holding the trophy, as he starts biting his lip because I knew he was about to cry.
That's awesome. I do. Jalen Hurts his story is insane. I'm going to talk about this later in the show, so I'll let that be. But so is it safe to say how long will this Super Bowl serotonin, this euphoria last for Sirianni? Like what's his cushion? Like, can he be bad next season and still be like, hey, listen, I got the Super Bowl this past year? How many bad seasons or mid seasons can Sirianni have before it's like, okay, it's not cute anymore, it's not fun anymore?
I feel like it's like, I think it's the same thing as Doug Peterson, except we didn't make it close. But the one thing I would like to say real quick is we're 2-0 with Tom Brady talking in the game,
Yeah.
Nick Foles beats Tom Brady, and Tom Brady's in the booth, and he's like, yeah, so we're 2-0 with Tom Brady either in the booth or on the field. So
that's a great point, King of Birds. So are you so now it's just like, give me Brady because you have that, you guys pretty much own Tom Brady, right? I mean, that's the idea.
Me and Eli Manning sitting in the high chairs of the king, except I hate the Giants. But.
That's awesome. Well, King of Birds, thank you so much for calling. You're always great. Congratulations again. You're a loyal caller, but you're a loyal Birds fan. You've been on this, very knowledgeable fan, and so you deserve this. And you are not part of the Philly scum fans that a lot of people see. You're a good fan, King of Birds.
And no meteor last night. That's what I was happy about. No meteor came.
No meteor came. That's great. Yes, we're all still alive for now. This is great. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. King of Birds, you're the man. Take care. Mm-hmm. Enjoy the day. You no one's gonna take this from you. You guys are the champions until next year. So congratulations. See ya. Awesome. Good for King of Birds. That's awesome. I love fans like that. There's obviously, you got your dealer's choice of all the yucky Philly fans out there. King of Birds is not one of them. King of Birds is a good dude. Big fan of King of Birds. All right, so going down the order of operations here, I do want to go back to that topic. Would you rather have a somewhat fixed, entertaining game or a relatively honest but boring football game? What do you want? Pick your poison, because I think you can't have it both ways. I don't think that's allowed. Well, I mean, you obviously can, but I'm saying in this simulation you can't. Like, we'll probably, I mean, I don't want to say never, but that Brady Super Bowl where he came back 28-3, he did that pretty much by himself with the help of the Falcons' collapse. He didn't really have to rely much on stripes. And that's kind of what bothers a lot of people about these Brady Super Bowls and Mahomes Super Bowls, and how I don't think they're really comparable. Like, I know Brady definitely got his fair share of calls throughout his career. No doubt in my mind. In fact, in many ways, Brady is sort of the OG Mahomes in this sense. I remember watching the Patriots-Chiefs championship game, and what was it? The Patriots got like a few like just crazy break calls that extended their runs, extended their offense, kept them on the field, survive, it gave them more life, right? But like, I think Brady was more dominating than he was lucky. And I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes isn't good. Patrick Mahomes is amazing, but like, there's no way that Patrick Mahomes is close to Brady. The optics, at least. Like, yeah, if you used rings as sort of your only indicator, but like, there isn't a highlight reel out there for the Chiefs in the last 4 years that isn't just riddled with really beneficial calls. I mean, the Chiefs, the last time these two teams played each other in the Super Bowl, the call sealed the game. You took away a minute and a half left of regulation of what could have been exciting football. We could have dodged the conversation of a three-peat altogether because you guys threw that flag. I'm not saying it wasn't a bad call. And by the way, the game last night was off to a horrific start. That offensive pass interference was laughable. Not because it was the wrong call. It's probably the correct call. That never gets called. Those calls are never called because you don't want this to be a ref show. That's my whole argument. Every single play in any game, no matter what level of football you're playing, whether it's the NFL at the Super Bowl or the NFL in the playoffs or the regular season or college football or high school football, there is a flag on every single play. That's just how it is. That's the way that football is designed. There is a holding, there is a false start, there's an offsides, there's a PI, there's probably some sort of late hit that goes unseen. There's a flag on every single play. Doesn't matter who you are. Just if you go like technically and follow how rules and how calls are defined, there is at least a flag on every play. You best believe there's a holding call pretty much every play that when the Chiefs play. I mean, it is getting ridiculous how many times you see guys that are getting choked out at the line. Go ahead and watch highlights of how many times Nick Bosa got held in the Super Bowl last year. It's Academy Award winning, the length of it at least. It's almost a 2-hour video. My point is, there is not a single down of football in any level of the sport that is without penalty. Because football is just like that by design. How you define a call, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, even the slightest pin, that's a hold. Everything's so subjective. So when you isolate calls, sometimes it's like, oh, if it's something's more egregious than others, like, for example, I don't know why we still haven't decided that this Rams-Saints game, it shouldn't just be voided when Rams defender just smoked the Saints receiver. Like, that is like probably one of the worst calls or no calls to ever exist. That's a perfect example of when to throw the flag in the Super Bowl in a big game, right? Because if it's so egregious, if it's so like, if it just changes the play at a laughable level, you have to throw that flag. I feel like A.J. Brown has made that exact play and that exact hand position, the hand check, and that's happened like got to be at least 10 other times this year, but they didn't call it because it's just a catch. So that's my whole point is all week the refs are out here saying, how could you possibly think this leading force of integrity in the league, we're accused of fixing games? That's insulting. It's preposterous. It took 4 plays before you threw a flag that was so unnecessary and greatly benefited the Chiefs. It took 4 plays. We were off to a historically laughable start. And then it was like, whoops, like somebody like radioed in. It's like, nope, don't you dare do this again for the rest of the game. Otherwise, we're just going to like lose America. So, bad start. And then you realize it didn't matter. Like that was the cool part. The reason this was so satisfying is because it just didn't matter. Like, even if the refs wanted to have 6 more calls that were like, what? Like it just wasn't going to be an issue because the Eagles were just so much better. Like the Eagles were so much better at every level. Better roster, better defense. Like quarterback play, Mahomes is better. But in this game, like how the Eagles use Hurts is probably way more effective, way more valuable than Mahomes is to the Chiefs. Just in terms of like how the Eagles rely on him for the tush push and stuff like that, right? And of course, like Jalen outplayed Mahomes 100%, and he can hit the deep ball and make some big throws. It just didn't matter though. Like the Chiefs weren't good. Like they were just okay. They can show up for big games, right? And like so, the anticipated games that's kind of what they're good at doing is, they've been here before. Like so, they go play the Bills, and it's like. They were locked in, super dialed, no mistakes. The same thing when they played the Niners, right? They came in, just we never had a chance. We played them. But like, they didn't have to play anybody in the playoffs. Texans after a bye. Okay. If the Chargers would have beat the Texans, you play the Chargers, right? It's just familiar territory. But the Chiefs getting the 1 seed is not all the refs' fault. There's a lot of devastating calls that were made throughout the year that benefited the Chiefs and, could have helped a couple of wins. But no, what happened to the Chiefs this year was nothing short of an insane miracle. So many things happened so that they get the 1 seed. We're talking specifically cut blades of grass. I mean, when the Chiefs beat the Broncos and then also beat the Raiders, that was their defense getting lucky 2 times off of mistakes the other teams made. So that's 2 losses right there. Unfortunately, long toes that the Ravens, Isaiah Likely had in the first game. His toes were just a smidge too long, and he was out of bounds by just a toe. That could have been a loss for sure because they tied it up and we're going to go for 2. And I trust Lamar Jackson to convert a simple 2-point conversion to win the game. And a few more games that just could have gone either way. They weren't that good. They're pretty good, but they weren't that good. They just caught some historic breaks. And it was like, one in a million consecutively. Right? You could be like, okay, at some point you just got to admit they're pretty good. No, you don't. You actually don't. You don't have to admit that. We saw it because they lost badly. And no one is to blame but themselves. They could not rely on anyone but their own skill set. They lost. Oh, by the way, the Chiefs will not be back next year. No, sir. They are so suffering from the nasty Super Bowl hangover. This is their schedule. At least the top dogs they got to play. Bills, Eagles, again, Ravens, Lions, Texans, Cowboys. You can laugh about the Cowboys, but, they always show up sometimes. But still, nonetheless, not a joke of a game. Jaguars could be something. Trevor Lawrence, new coach. Duval, maybe. And of course, you got the Chargers twice, Broncos twice. Hell, maybe even the Raiders might snag one. That's not a 1 seed right there. Definitely not. I actually don't even think the Chiefs will win their own division. They might not do it because the Chargers and the Broncos probably will get easier schedule breaks. And at the end of the day, you just got to steal 1 or 2 games from each other. Don't cannibalize each other. Someone else could do it. It would really suck if the Chiefs win the division at like 10-6 because the Broncos and the Chargers go 8-8 or 8-9. Raiders aren't there because it doesn't work out with Pete Carroll and owner Tom Brady. But it may work out. They may draft Shador. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't think the Chiefs you can't just pencil them in for another division champion title. I don't think so. But yeah, no, this is incredibly satisfying. This is great. I think this is just fabulous for everyone watching, everyone who's tired of the Chiefs. That was a very satisfying Super Bowl. I don't care that it wasn't close. I think it just felt good. Yeah, it was like every time the Eagles scored, you're like, yes, yes, please. You know, we talked about King of Birds, like seeing Taylor Swift get booed and all this stuff, you know, satisfying. It's a little satisfying. Come on. Football is a gladiatorial sport and people aren't getting killed. We can passionately root against forces we dislike within the confines of the game. I don't dislike Taylor Swift as an individual. I think she's done great things with her life, much more than I can do. But as far as I'm concerned, she was part of the Chiefs tidal wave of bleh. So that was fun for me. Okay. Jalen Hurts. Got to talk about this. What a story, man. Jeez. I mean, do you remember when we all watched and Jalen watched Tua take the starting job from Jalen in a play in the Natty in 2018? Like one of the craziest sequences ever. Bama, Georgia, 5 years ago. Saban versus Kirby. Really good game. Just a shootout. Just a classic Natty for the ages. You got Jalen Hurts, who was kind of this almost like a scapegoat quarterback for Bama because they had like all these great quarterbacks forever that were kind of just fine. And then Jalen was really good, but you know, he had a few turnovers here and there, and he was seemed like he's sort of one-dimensional. He was a good runner, and you know, you never really were sure if he could make the big throws, if he was clutch and whatnot. And then, you know, he got benched in the Natty. Tua took his job in a play, like changed the trajectory of both of their careers forever. Of course, Tua goes on to take the job. Jalen transfers. Tua then, you know, leads Bama back. Tua is like a top 5 pick, and Jalen Hurts is not. Jalen Hurts goes to Oklahoma, leads them back to the playoff. Really good. I don't think you really ever hear from, you know, like Jalen Hurts as far as any college success like what Tua had. But 5 years ago, if you see Jalen Hurts watch the game happen from the sidelines, there is no way you're thinking this man is going to be a Super Bowl MVP. A Super Bowl MVP. 5 years ago, you tell me that because he is relatively new in the league, right? As far as Super Bowl MVPs go, you know, it took Brady, you know, Brady, you know, came in and was blessed with outstanding timing. You know, he was super young when he got his, but like, man, like Jalen Hurts is like, what is he, like 4 years into the league? 3.5 or something, like 3 or 4 years. Like he's already got a Super Bowl MVP. Okay. Like that's like, there are a lot of guys that will never win a Super Bowl, let alone get the MVP. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. One of those guys will never get a Super Bowl. That's just how crowded the AFC is. Like, you know, and while Mahomes is still here, because the Chiefs won't be back this year, they're not done. Like, Patrick Mahomes is not done. He's amazing. He's amazing. But, like, there's definitely a shift in the league, right? And I don't want to say the Chiefs' window is closed for good. That's so It's so like naive to say that, but they're just not going to do it next year. Like you can relax because the Chiefs are going to pay for being so good for so long because now they have a first place schedule and they're at the same time probably getting a little older. Guys are going to leave, move on. Mahomes is still there. He's not going anywhere. He signed that. He signed the first of the crazy contracts a few years ago, right? Well, so they're going to be back at some point, but just not next year. Doesn't mean that it gets any easier for Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Like one of those guys is, of course, you got CJ Stroud in there. Man, maybe Herbert figures it out with Harbaugh. Or maybe somebody new, like maybe Trevor Lawrence is like, oh, yeah, excuse me. Or maybe Aaron Rodgers. Just kidding, not him. But, there's a lot that's happening. We got a caller from Seal Beach, California. Yes, hello, it's the WUNDERFAN show. Who might you be?
Henry, my name is Alex Gonzalez of California. How's it going?
Alex Gonzalez of California. I'm well. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm in literally in downtown LA as we speak. But yeah, I wanted to talk to you. Didn't mean to interrupt whatever you're talking about, but on the topic of age in the NFL, do you possibly foresee Travis Kelce getting out of the NFL anytime soon?
That's a good question. Well, what I was just alluding to is it's perfect timing. Great time to jump in. I think that the Chiefs aren't getting any younger. I think Kelce is probably not going to take a bow right now. I think he probably had an argument to do that if they would have won. He's like, I just got the three-peat. I can get out, and just like live my life. He's going to be in Happy Gilmore. He's probably going to be in movies and, I mean, the other side looks pretty nice. I don't think he will now because he can't just end like that. I also don't think he will retire after next year because the Chiefs won't do anything next year. They just won't. I was just talking about how hard their schedule is. So I think you technically actually have this year and then one more year out of Kelce. So I think 2 years left of Kelce, and then I think he's done. That's what I think.
Oh, good Lord. I just, what I'm saying? Like, I feel bad, but I became a Chiefs hater. Again, against my will, because one of my best buddies is a Chiefs fan. He's
of course, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned in somewhere one of your videos or something like there's a difference between new age Chiefs fans and previous ones. I want to say that I'm confident he's an older one because his grandparents are from Kansas City. They often go back there, so it's like it even makes me feel worse because it's just like I have to. I feel like I have a duty to be a Chiefs hater. If you've seen the whole regular season, then yes. But a lot of people, even my family, they were seeing the Super Bowl. They were calling me crazy because I knew, or at least I thought I knew, the refs were gonna cook the game, and it was just. It turned out to be a pleasant surprise, I gotta say.
It really was. And there is a difference between new Chiefs fans and old Chiefs fans. Obviously, if you even just exclude the transplant Chiefs fans via Taylor Swift, there's just a lot of people that jumped on ship this past year and a half simply because Taylor and Travis became an item, kind of de facto new to NFL fans via Taylor. Those are obviously in the new Chiefs fan department. But there is an element that when the Chiefs got good in the last 5 to 6 years with Mahomes and, that new era of exciting football again, that definitely brought a lot of, I guess, aimless NFL fans without a team to root for Mahomes while Brady was still here because the Patriots are the big bad. It was very easy to become a Chiefs fan when Brady was still here. But before this, Chiefs fans have long been credited for being very loud and loyal and knowledgeable fans. That whole Missouri area, like St. Louis fans, people are always talking about how good Cardinals fans are. That you remove the Rams from St. Louis. It's like, why would you do that? There's some good fans in there. There's also some crazy ass fans. Like Chiefsaholics guy was a criminal, but like there's, he was robbing banks in between Chiefs games. But like there's plenty of non-criminal Chiefs fans that have been there before this Mahomes, Kelce, Swift era. So that's kind of the caveat is like, there are so many loyal, good ones that we're all hoping suffer at the expense of, because we don't like the new fans. We don't like the Jackson Mahomes type of fans, the annoying in your face, shove it against, my will down my throat kind of fans, right? That's the disparity.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's bandwagoners. I've seen,
Yep.
People who've, well, I'm not sure if I've seen them, but I've heard that there are like a lot of people who switch from like the Patriots
Yep.
to then the Chiefs.
100%.
Like it's a bandwagon thing, and it's just I don't know why people tend to be more crazy when they're like that, but they just are. It's tough out there right now, but
It really is. It really is. Any last minute thoughts do you have before I let you go on your day?
I'll let you do your thing, but thank you so much for accepting the call. I just wanted to see your opinion on the Travis Kelce thing, because that's really my biggest thing.
Yeah.
Just to be fair to Chiefs fans, I don't hate the Chiefs, but if he gets, so long as he's on there, yeah, I'm gonna be a Chiefs hater.
Okay. Well, cheers. Thank you for calling, and yeah, unfortunately, you probably are stuck hating the Chiefs in the next couple of years. He's not going away this year, at least. Be well, man. Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's an interesting point there. So Kelce's probably not going to retire at the end of next year. I mean, well, I'm not his agent. I don't know. What did you say, Travis? Maybe? Okay. No, he's actually telling me, yeah, maybe. No, I don't know. I don't know more than you do. But my guess is just on how humans behave and how, redemption and sort of the force of inspiration and hope. They're probably not going to retire after a really tough year. In fact, if you've been good for so long, you kind of want to go out sort of into the sun on top, right? That's like you want to walk away with that taste like, hell yeah, I'm still that guy and I will retire that guy. Won't be this year. If you want to follow that, formula and that sort of that philosophy, the Chiefs are not going to be back this year. Their schedule is way too damn hard, and there are so many other guys that are next. Like, we didn't even get to see Joe Burrow in the playoffs. Like, this is about to be, because the Bengals got the third place in the AFC North, so they're going to get a third place schedule. Yeah, we're going to see here's your Super Bowl. Here's your Super Bowl right here, folks. You ready for this? Bengals, Niners. That's it. You got a hungry Joe Burrow. Not to say that Josh Allen isn't hungry. I would say Josh Allen is more haunted than hungry, more cursed than hungry. Joe Burrow was a clear MVP if he had a defense. Like, if they made the playoffs, Joe Burrow has to be your MVP. Has to. He cleared everybody in stats. He lost a couple games with some pretty costly turnovers, like the Ravens game, but he also kept them in that game, right? So I think the Bengals will be back because of Joe Burrow. And quite frankly, I don't think Mahomes stands a chance against Joe Burrow next year. I think Joe Burrow is just they're going to get better. And they were this close. If you can keep the band together, they're going to be back because their schedule is going to be a joke. Other than, of course, your twice a year AFC, rivalries that you have in conference. But like the Browns, they're nothing. And I think the Steelers are beatable. And then it's just, can you steal one from the Ravens? And if you can easily get the 1 or 2 seed for sure. But yeah, no, the Chiefs will be nothing next year. Nothing worth writing home about, at least. And yeah, your Super Bowl is going to be Bengals, Niners. Time of date? Feb 10th, 11:40 a.m. Pacific time. 2025. Niners versus Bengals will be next year's Super Bowl. A rematch of the classic Niners Super Bowl where, of course, Montana led the Niners down the field after saying hello to Mr. John Candy because he was so damn cool. Bet you Purdy. Oh, wait, this is perfect. Wait a minute. Here you go. Niners, Bengals, Super Bowl in San Francisco because Levi's is hosting it. Rematch of when Joe Montana cleaned up, when it was so cool, not a worry in the world. I bet you Purdy, who has a whole year of the easiest schedule in football to just act cool, collected. You're trading Debo, right? Or he wants to be traded. So you get some draft picks, get some pieces, but keep going. Yeah, this makes perfect sense. NBC's calling the game, so my man Chris Collinsworth is calling the game. probably going to be really upset that there's no Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, but he'll be calling a Super Bowl nonetheless. I mean, this could be a really big year for my ventures, right? One venture, of course, being not a business venture, just as a fan. The Niners will be back in the Super Bowl in San Francisco, where I'm from, with Collinsworth calling the game. Of course, I can impersonate Chris Collinsworth, so it's like I'm in the press box in the Super Bowl. Anyways, all right, that's what I'm going to say about the NFL. Glad the Chiefs lost like that. We could move on. Not saying that, oh, look at this, the refs didn't call anything, the Chiefs got exposed. That's not what I'm saying. It's exactly what I'm saying. But I didn't say it loudly like I'm saying now. I didn't say it aloud. I whispered it. It's good. Okay. Cool. But yeah, Jalen Hurts. Awesome story. 5 years ago, he was on the sidelines watching someone else take his job in college, and now he's a Super Bowl champion. Amazing. You would not believe me if I told you, if I showed you footage from the future, you wouldn't believe me. You'd be like, that's AI. Even though AI back then was not even close to this, it was just GIFs, but this is AI. That's fake. That's from another timeline. That's from the timeline when Iguodala dunked it instead of laid it up for LeBron to block, right? In that timeline, Iggy dunks it, LeBron doesn't block it. The Warriors beat Cleveland at home in 7. Crazy timeline. In fact, that timeline also has Jimmy Garoppolo connecting with Emmanuel Sanders against the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes never wins that first one. He maybe never wins one ever because they actually might move on from him after it failed multiple Super Bowls in a row. It gets chippy in there. Andy Reid actually never gets that cheeseburger, so he slims down. He quits coaching and becomes a track runner. It's a really cool timeline. That's where the Jalen Hurts ones comes from. So, you move a chair in the future and the whole rest of what you know as reality has changed. So, yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. The time-space continuum is shot. What am I saying? The point is, he wouldn't have believed me if I showed you footage of last night's post-game celebration 5 years ago. No, Jesus, 7 years ago. This was 7 years ago. Not 5, 7 years ago. 7 years ago. 7 years ago. Say it again. Not 5, 7. Just unfathomable. All right. Last topic, and then I'm going to let you go for the day. NBA. We can fully transition into NBA now, which is awesome. I love basketball. We can also fully transition into March Madness. So going forward, the Wonder Fan Show will feature mainly just basketball. Does not mean you could earn at only basketball games. We have many ways for you to earn cash rewards on your campus, in your venues, in your home, town, sports, whatever, right? But we will be talking NBA and basketball-related content on the show. Okay, big news. Luka is a Laker officially tonight. He's expected to play. The Lakers played the Pacers over the weekend, and Luka saw his old coach, Rick Carlisle. Of course, Luka didn't play, but Luka told Rick Carlisle, "You should be happy I'm not playing today." I don't think he sounded like that, but he said, "You should be happy I'm not playing today," is what Luka told Carlisle, which is like the coldest thing ever, right? Just like, even though the Lakers beat the Pacers pretty handily, I think Luka would have killed whoever he played first. Unfortunately, the Utah Jazz are going to be the recipients of one of the biggest Luka Magic beatdowns ever. Like, Luka could just go off for 50 tonight. Luka might treat this like it's game 7 of the finals. And I don't know what the Jazz did to deserve this. They by no means are a threat of any kind in the West. And it's already hard enough to get Jazz fans in seats at the game. Of course, if you have WonderFan, you can earn while being there, Jazz fans. Of course, that might not, affect the game score. Luka's still going to drop 50 on you guys. But, if you need extra motivation to go watch your team get destroyed by Luka Doncic, you could download WonderFan and have fun at the game while you're earning watching a game, you're probably going to lose by 60 because there's no stopping Luka tonight. There is just no stopping. There is no contemplating. There's no understanding of what Luka is going to do to the first team he plays post this trade, post the biggest trade in NBA history. So I'm so sorry in advance to any Jazz fans out there. It's not like really you weren't going to win this game anyways. You're not really playing much for this year at all. But at least you get a front row seat of utter decimation, I guess. Download WonderFan Jazz fans and make a little money just by going to the game. But it's, it won't change what Luka will do to you. Okay, last thing. Said this all week. Cannot take a knee on this one. The Warriors are going to win the West. I said it. Not get the number 1 overall seed. Don't twist my words. It's not like come April 15th, like, the Warriors actually got the 6th seed, so you lied. You're wrong. No, they're going to win the West. In fact, the Warriors could win the West by getting the 10 seed. If the Warriors just make the playoffs, I don't think any team's beating them until like Boston or Cleveland in the finals. I think Denver is always tough, just in general, but historically, the Warriors have never really had trouble. Draymond's never really had trouble consecutively against Jokic. In recent years, when the Warriors have been somewhat limited, as far as a short-staffed and injuries, Denver has had their fair share. But like even this year, we blew the game against Denver. We were up 9 with like 2 minutes left, and they won by 5 in regulation, which was crazy. It's just Jimmy Butler, man. I cannot explain it enough. Getting a second Hall of Famer in your rotation again. What that does for Steph Curry is unfathomable. Steph Curry, when he has to play against one man, shows you why he's the best shooter of all time and can be in the top 5 greatest players of all time conversation at will, at any given point. When he's not being triple teamed, Steph Curry is very much in that conversation. Every conversation. But that's what they've had to deal with all year is him getting doubled at half court and then tripled by the time he's at the 3-point line. And obviously, I know not even a fraction of what every NBA coaching personnel, every staff knows, but from the outside looking in, you just don't have any support for the guy. I know it's such a stupid and naive way to look at it, but like, he's never Wiggins is great, and he's an all-star. He went to the all-star game, and he's an NBA champion. But Jimmy Butler is his nickname is Jimmy Buckets. The guy gets buckets. He plays a different game than Steph does. He goes inside, gets to the line, banging with the boys. Pause. Like in a basketball way. But, this is... I think, like, the Warriors are still getting guys healthy again. Like, when they get Kuminga, and when this team really starts to hit their stride, here's what I'm going to say this. The Warriors have... how many games left in February? We'll say, is it 9? How many games in February are there left for the Warriors? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 games left in the month of February. And you have, it looks like 3 games this week and then the All-Star break. And then after the All-Star, you have 4 games in Feb. I think of the 7 games they have left, they go 6-1. Yep. 6-1. They're going to beat Milwaukee tonight. They're going to beat Dallas. Probably beat Houston because they've only lost to Houston once in the last 5 years to Houston. Beat Dallas again, beat Charlotte. I think beat Orlando. Probably the one game they lose is to Sacramento. I mean, the Kings just have the Warriors number right now. Or maybe not. They could go 7-0 and be right back in the mix. You got to do that. You have to do that, though. If you go, I think 6-1 or 7-0 is perfect. 5-2 is a must. You cannot go 4-3. You just can't be flirting with 500. You got to start getting those wins outside that 500 record percentage. The Warriors will win the West. if they go to the playoffs. I could just be wrong about like just sort of the schedule because they could have lost too many games they should have won, and their record just it might not get it done. But if they get a chance, whether it's the 6th seed, so they dodge the play-in, or if they get 7, 8, 9, or 10 and they're in the play-in game, the Warriors will make the playoffs. If they make the playoffs, they're going to win the West. If everyone stays healthy. If everyone stays healthy. Okay, that's it for me with the Wonder Fan Show today. Thank you, everyone that tunes in every week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. We will be back this weekend, probably before the All-Star game, I think. Yeah, that's all I got. Cheers, and thank God the Chiefs lost. Have a great week, everyone.